No, I think he is logged off. Good afternoon, everyone. Professor Pandit, am I audible to you? So, are you able to hear us?
Somehow my voice is not reaching, so
Oh,
I'm trying to adjust the setting.
okay,
Give
okay,
me
sure.
some time.
Okay, sure, sir. I will wait.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly, sir. I think we can still hear you.
Somehow your voice is not reaching to me. Some audio setting problem.
Is it?
Let me connect from other device.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, should we then start, sir? I think we should start with the inaugural session.
Yes, please. Somehow I am not able to get the video.
Okay, is it better now? I think you can see us.
No,
No?
actually I am traveling in a train, so
Oh, okay,
uh,
okay.
so there might be some connectivity issue. But hope my audio is reaching you
Perfectly,
without
perfect,
any disturbance.
perfectly.
Any background noise is not there.
No, not
It
there.
is
It's
not
perfect.
here. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Pandit. And with this, we begin today's symposium on geographical indications. With the University of Liverpool School of Law and Social Justice, with its representative, Dr. Sujita Subramaniam, dear friend and colleague. Today's symposium is on 2 decades of working of the GI law. We are going to examine social legal challenges in the Indian handloom sector. And the idea for this program came from a joint kind of a work that we were doing together way back a few months back. And then we thought it would be very appropriate during her visit to India that we organize a symposium on these lines. And that's when we thought that we should, have this kind of a symposium with a very stellar panel and a very fantastic inaugural session. Um, I welcome you all. You have come here from different places, from what I understand. Very few students, though, but some of you have traveled quite some distance to reach here. And thank you on that account. And I welcome you again. Unfortunately, Professor Dr. G.S. Bajpai, Vice Chancellor, National University Delhi, could not be here with us today due to some other appointments relating to his health. But nevertheless, he has conveyed his best regards to the event. And with us, we have today to deliver the special address Professor Dr. Unnat Pandit, who is the Honorable Controller General of Patent Designs and Trademarks with the Intellectual Property Office, Government of India, will be joining us online. And then we have the keynote from Padma Shri awardee Dr. Rajnikant, who is the Executive Director and the General Secretary of Human Welfare Association, Varanasi. And finally, we have a panel discussion with Dr. Sujita as the moderator and with Mr. Ashish Kant Singh, who is the advocate and partner of KNS Partners, New Delhi. He has the trademark practice. Dr. Lisa P. Lukos, who is a professor of law at Indraprastha University. Shri Bijan Bihari Paul, he's a consultant with Tata Taneria and former director of the Weavers Service Center, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. And of course, yours truly. Post the panel discussion, we'll have floor discussion. We have allocated sufficient time for all of this. And before we begin with Professor Unnat Pandit's address, I would take a few minutes to introduce. I think most of you in the IP circles already know of Professor Pandit. You must have either met him or you must have heard of him. Professor Undit Pandit's IP journey goes way back since his days in the pharmaceutical industry, particularly with the generic industries and other industries, and he worked intensively on intellectual property issues. And he was the member of India's national IPR policy, along with Justice Prabha Sridevan and also now Justice Pratibha Singh. Then she was an advocate and some other experts on intellectual property, including Rajiv Srinivasan and others. And then post that, he was heading the Atal Innovation Mission, and then as a professor at Jawaharlal Nehru University, IP Cell. And then since last year, he's taken up the responsibility of India's intellectual property office, and he heads the IP office in India. And he has already joined and he will be delivering the special address. And in the same inaugural panel, we have Dr. Rajnikant, Padma Shri Dr. Rajnikant, who is Secretary of the Secretary General of the Human Welfare Association. I think those in the GI world would know Professor Dr. Rajnikant very closely, primarily because of his stellar work in the area of facilitating geographical indications, the filing of geographical indications. He has filed more than 200 applications by now, 210 to be very precise, but that's kind of a lifetime achievement and contribution for which the government of India in the year 2018 awarded him with the Padma Shri and the citation for activities involving promotion of human welfare. And as far as I know, I have known him for a few years now, and I've also had the opportunity to meet with him very recently as part of the committee in which Dr. Lisa was also part of. And then we know his phenomenal contribution to GI communities in facilitating their applications and helping them with the technicalities of the procedure. And we have seen him handholding these communities for a lot many years, right since the days of Banarasi Sari applications. Of course, I was not even part of the IP scene at that point of time. So his work dates back more than my entire academic career. And it's a rare honor for us to have Dr. Rajnikant with us here today. So we'll now begin initially with the special address remarks by Professor Dr. Unnat Pandit, sir. Over to you. So you are muted. Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Pardon me if you hear some background noise because I'm traveling and I'm in a train, but the connectivity is good. So it is indeed really a pride moment for all of us that we are celebrating the 2 decade journey of a GI law enactment. And it has been a wonderful journey so far, the kind of pride which we have offered to the artisan and the grassroots creators who are doing a fantastic job in the country. And nothing better than giving them the community recognition through the GI registration of their creative work, creative product. Uh, it started in 1999 when the law was passed in the parliament, and with the rule, this entire journey got started in 2003. And then after, it took some time to take off the entire momentum, but after the few years, this momentum has taken up. Till date, we have more than 475 GI which are registered, and out of this, the highest ever GI recognition came in last 2 years. 105 GI got registered in 2022, and in 2022-23, 55 GI got registered. And this year, even this 55 which got registered last year, it is likely to be 2.5 to 3x. So this is the journey so far in the GI. And on authorized user registration also, there has been a phenomenal interest which has been by the local. By recognizing true potential of a GI, we are not just recognizing the product, but we are equally recognizing the potential of a local artisan, local local who are producing the indigenous product, and all those cultural inherent uh, skill set and the art which they have preserved over a generation. Whether we see as a Banarasi silk or Patan's Patola, or even if we see the kind of handicraft work which has been done, or we can see the precious product of a Kashmiri saffron or a Morena gadget, or even the कोल्हापुरी चप्पल और पुणेरी पगड़ी, or even the kind of Kanchipuram silk, which is developed by the age-old people from the generations. They have uh, tried to preserve this art, and they have continued their momentum in the journey. And so many places we have seen that the by recognition of a GI, the local artisans have got a livelihood, and the entire economic transformation which we want to see. This has also been witnessed through this GI registration. If I, not as a CG, but as the IT professional, if I see the entire GI regime in future, then India has a potential to have a more than 15,000 GI recognized in the country. So journey is a long way which we have to pass through. Till date, we have 475. Now, in next decade is a GI decade, I can say that. And this decade is going to offer much more recognition to the community right, will also offer economic benefits and livelihood to the local citizens. Rajnikant ji is by name Rajnikant, but he is a Rajnikant of a GI. He has taken up this momentum to offer a livelihood to the local community, and he has done a phenomenal work in Uttar Pradesh. And now, with the help of a NABARD, he is doing for various different states, from Kashmir or Gujarat or from Northeast, even in Arunachal Pradesh also. I have seen him, the entire momentum which he is building. Like Rajnikantji, we need several such Rajnikant in each state where we build a momentum of a GI. Northeast alone has a 4,500 plus GI potential, and this is the great beginning. I'm sure with this we need a dedicated efforts in GI, and next decade we have to offer as a GI revamp or transformation in the country. प्रधानमंत्री जी हमेशा कहते हैं कि जीआई जहां पर भी वो फॉरेन विजिट में जाते हैं, वो हर एक प्रदेश के राष्ट्राध्यक्षों को जीआई की भेंट देते हैं. He is the biggest GI ambassador, I can say that. Now, each one of us need to become a GI ambassador if we want to offer a IP-driven GI recognition for the local communities first. And several other opportunities are also knocking the door for the GI. It's as a IP professional, as a legal professional, or as a as a credential. It is our duty to spread the awareness of a GI and then offer them the due recognition which the GI deserves. So many community related activities, cultural activities, textile, handloom, handicraft, even agriculture work. So many things are happening in the country. Bharat is a rich cultural, preserving the rich cultural heritage, and it's our duty to offer a due recognition in terms of the GI. I'm sure this session will awaken all of us to set our internal goal, how we are going to work with the dedication, with the efforts to bring the GI regime in the Amrit Kal, offering the community recognition, and nothing better than offering the livelihood. मैं कई बार हमारे आईपी मित्र और कई आईपी अटर्नीज से कहता हूँ कि आप लोग सैकड़ों आईपी राइट्स ग्रांट करने के लिए फैसिलिटेट करते हैं, चाहे पेटेंट हो, कॉपीराइट हो, ट्रेडमार्क हो, डिजाइन हो। लेकिन उन सबसे ज्यादा एक जीआई रिकग्निशन दिलवाने में जो इनर सेटिस्फेक्शन मिलता है फ्रॉम द बॉटम ऑफ द हार्ट, इफ you are feeling the joy of giving something to the community, and this community is going to welcome this. Saying in his address and regularly putting this on a social media also. GI is the important IT tool and it deserves the attention of all of us. So let's uh, take up this momentum to the next level and next decade. Let's ensure that we give a pride and respect which this GI community deserves. With this, I congratulate Dr. Yogesh Pai, NLU Delhi, Rajnikant ji and the team, and especially the Liverpool University and the Pragya. I can see she is also there in audience. So it is a joint commitment I think we need to build in, and how the Indian GI can also be explored for the UK market. UK has been the potential buyer of Indian GI, and they are not just after independence. Before independence, also there were several historical trade which were happening, and there is a huge potential to trade off the GI between the people. I think we need to have this kind of a policy intervention framework and the mechanism to be decided so that we collectively offer the pride which GI community deserves. With this, I congratulate Dr. Yogesh Pai and the team for organizing such a fantastic brainstorming.
Thank you very much, Professor Pandit. It was a very, very informative and path-throwing lecture and address. We specifically know from Professor Pandit's taking over of the office of the Controller General, the kind of reforms he has initiated, particularly the functioning of the GI registry, which has been so excellent. The number of GIs that have granted have exponentially increased in the last 1 year and last 2 years. And we hope that this space is going to, as he rightly said, is going to, further enhance. And we thank you, sir, for being part of this. He's just left the call. I think he got disconnected. So we'll now begin with the keynote address. Oh, sir has joined back. Thank you, sir. I just wanted to thank you on my own behalf and on behalf of University of Liverpool School of Law and Social Justice and NLU Delhi. So we'll now begin. We'll now begin with the keynote address by Padma Shri Dr. Rajnikant. Sir, please. आपको जैसे कोई समस्या नहीं कैमरा घुमा
थैंक यू एक्चुअली हमारे जैसे लोगों को थोड़ा बैठ के बातचीत करने की बहुत आदत नहीं है, और हम लोग पब्लिक फोरम में रहते हैं लोगों के साथ में तो खड़े होकर बातचीत करते हैं। नमस्कार सीजी सर, और आप सभी लोगों को नमस्कार जो यहाँ पे फिजिकली हम लोग के साथ में जुड़े हुए हैं, तो ऑनलाइन जो साथी जुड़े हुए हैं। सबसे पहले तो साधुवाद योगा स्पाइस जी को कि जिन्होंने ये अपॉर्चुनिटी यहाँ पे दिया, और ये हमारी फर्स्ट विजिट है किसी भी ला यूनिवर्सिटी में, और we have already met the few old people. We have discussed on the online. The madam is here from the abroad. We have already discussed a few things regarding the GI and for the promotion. डॉक्टर पाल साहब हैं यहाँ पे, तो हमें लग रहा है कि सबसे सीनियर मोस्ट पर्सन हैंडलूम के सेक्टर में है, और इनका बहुत कंट्रीब्यूशन रहता है। मैडम लीजा हैं और सारे ढेर सारे लोग यहाँ पे। आज हमको एक नए साथी से हमारे मुलाकात हुई, आईपी अटॉर्नी है मणिपुर से, और दिल्ली में है। हम लोग व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में जरूर है, लेकिन हम लोग कभी फिजिकली मिले नहीं थे, और लेकिन हमें जान के अच्छा लगा कि ये काफी बड़ा इनिशिएटिव इनका है, और स्पेशली जो इंटरनेशनल जीआईस है उनको यहाँ पे रजिस्टर कराने के लिए। तो आज हमारी चर्चा इनसे हो रही थी कि नाउ वी विल वर्क टुगेदर इन ए रिवर्स मैनर, द इंडियन जीआईस इन द इंटरनेशनल मार्केट, mainly the European market. And the topic is related to the 20 years journey of the GI and mainly focus on the handloom. So from working in the social development sector since last 33 years, after leaving from the Banaras Hindu University as a scientist, and to remove the social pollution, to free the women from the clutch of the money lenders in the social development sector. Then I entered. I started working on the issue of these issues with a small group, the Saving and Credit Group, in 1991. And after that, the term has emerged self-help group and given by the NABARD. But before this, we have already started in 1991 in the rural area of the Varanasi, and mainly with the Dalit women and the education of the children. So at the time of the education of the children, Varanasi is very prominent for the Banaras brocade and saris. And the excellent fabrics is weaving from this place since generations. And you will be surprised to know that dress of the Param Pavan Dalai Lama has also weaved in Varanasi. And the dress of the Pope of the Rome is also made in Varanasi, the Zardodi work. And all the celebrities from the Hollywood to the Bollywood, from the South India film industry also, they love the Banaras fabric. When they are talking about the ethnic fabric, the old time fabric, then they like the Banaras fabric. And many type of the fabrics, not only the saris, the 100 type of the saris, because the topic is related to the handloom, so I am only focusing on this. Even the jacket what we have used, gasser. And the richest weaving is the kimkhab. The 100 type of the in common name the people said the Tibetan brocade. Gyasar, Gyanta, Thanka, Pema Chandi, Badal Chandi, which is weaving in the Varanasi and going all the Buddhist countries. And the people are liking very much because these are the handloom products. China has tried to make the machine made, but he could not get the success. This is the one place. The another place is the Northeast. still the people are weaving the same backstep loom, lonely loom. The women are sitting in the house and weaving in an exclusive traditional manner with a number of the beautiful motifs. The people is surprised to see the weaving in the India International Trade Fair 2023 in Pragati Maidan, where GI Pavilion is there, and awarded Manipuri women who is sitting and showing the live demonstration. Everybody is making the video. How the beautiful motifs is coming. There is no design. There is no graph. Nothing like that. Everything in the mind. And they'll be beautiful, man. Or the other products also, like the Mirzapur Dari is also in the live demonstration. So this is the rich cultural heritage in the country. And due to this, the Bharat known as Sone ki Chidiya, the golden bird. And this Sone ki Chidiya, the word has not given by the Indians. The people who has given the Bharat Sone ki Chidiya name has started looting since 2500 years back. And the story has started at the time of the Alexander. In the Hindi, the people say Sikandar. And unfortunately, the people who has started the looting the Sone ki Chidiya, Bharat, before 2500 years back, the historians, after the independent, in the literature, we have go through, with the support of the government department, the people say the Alexander the Great, Akbar the Great, the Mughals who looted this Sone ki Chidiya, the people said they are the great. How they can be a great? So this is the surprising. And after that, the Britishers, they also trying to exploit the handloom industry. There is a number of the evidences mentioned by the British writers also. Because in the previous time, they feel that the Manchester fabric is the best in the world. But when they entered in the India and see the excellent weaving, vibrant color, the designs, the motifs, and without any machine, without any graph, without any pattern, the weaving since generation to generation to generation, in their mind, they like very much, and they started the trading from India to the abroad. They are taking it from here to the London market, and they are selling from London market to across the world. But side by side, they started initiative to destroy and introduce their own fabric, Manchester fabric, machine-made fabric in the Indian market, the cheap fabric in the Indian market. Their writers have already mentioned, the number of the budgeteers has already mentioned. But I am proud to say that the weavers community, the craft community, artisans community, has carrying the legacy since generations. Still they are continuing. Nobody can destroy the Vedas, the Upanishad. Everything are in the mind and transfer from one to the another, one to the another. And still the same pattern is going on. The style of chanting the Vedas, the mantra, the shlok, in a very traditional manner, वो बहुत ही शब्द को एक स्वर के रूप में है. जैसे अगर यजुर्वेद में अगर उसकी ऋग्वेद में अगर रचना हुई है तो सामवेद में उसको फिर स्वर में दिया गया. उसी तरह से वीविंग का द सेम पैटर्न. हम आश्चर्यचकित थे, बनारस की वीविंग को हम बहुत रिच समझते थे. But when I visit in the Arunachal Pradesh, and I was surprised to see the 200-year-old Tangsa textile, 200-year-old, a fabric like the muffler, and 80 different motifs are in the one muffler. 80 different motifs. I requested the artisans to kindly bring it to show the CG, the people who are in the consultative committee group. And I am fortunate the Palsa was there. It is surprising. The fabric made by the traditional natural yarn. They are using only two colors that time in the Meghalaya. We have seen the 400-year-old fabric. Garo Dakmanda in the Meghalaya. Only two colors. Indigo and the black. Black is coming from the particular the leaf and root. They shown everything what the traditional raw material they are using there are in the Zero Valley, the Apatani textile. The India's second, the most densely populated village, Zero, in the Apatani community, what they are weaving. They clearly displayed the fabric is the 200-year-old, 100-year-old, 80-year-old, 60-year-old, new fabric also. These are the handlooms. But I am saying, unfortunately, due to the wrong policy of the government department also, thanks to the GI registry, IP attorneys, few important officials who has taken the initiative for the GI in the country. And I'm also thankful to the late Prime Minister Adharani Atal Bihari Vajpayee. On his regime, the GI Act has passed in the Parliament. And I'm proudly say that this time, the Honorable Prime Minister of India is promoting GI across the world, giving the souvenirs, mementos, gift, tweeting, and not only the tweeting, saying this product is from this particular place. In the Atmanirbhar Bharat, local to global, in the 20 years journey, this is the mantra. How we feel proud, how the community will feel proud, how the community will feel that this is our own property. Because GI is a community property. In IPR, everybody knows you are all the pharaohs here. Patent, trademark, copyright, design, industrial design, trade secret, all are the individual property. But the geographical indication is a community property. When I was discussing with Ashish ji and talk about the salt, he said it takes time 6 months. We are remembering only one salt when the Gandhiji started the Dandi March Yatra, and the one salt is there and the people know what is this salt. In the Ukhrul, 6 months. And the salt from the Uttarakhand Devbhumi also. The people are using the noon chai, Kashmir and the various other parts. Are in the Pithoragarh, Jian, the Bhutia community is using. So this is our traditional culture. The Bhutia done is known as carpet. And the second product is the Thulma. Simply the width is the 2 feet. They are making 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, then the 6 feet the size. The blanket which is used in the -20 degree temperature in the Pithoragarh hill. What is this? Where the science has failed, no blanket is ready, but their traditional handloom weaving product is there, who is providing their livelihood opportunity, as well as the people are preserving their own life, saving their own life in the winter, -20. This, we are grateful to the community who is carrying this legacy. So in this journey and in the 475 GIs, nearly 275 are from the handicraft, and within the 275, nearly 75 to 80 products are from the handloom. So due to the wrong policy, the government has allowed, and I will give you the example in the Uttar Pradesh, for the Varanasi. When the state government has allowed to start the power loom, and the government will charge only 65 rupees to run a power loom for 1 month. The cost of the electricity is only 65 rupees. And because the power loom lobby is very much strong, first. The second, the power loom lobby has a vote bank also. And we have seen how due to a wrong decision और लोगों को खुश करने के लिए जो चीज एक शुरू कर दी गई, it has destroyed the whole industry. पाल साहब उसके गवाह हैं. He was in the Varanasi in the Weaver Service Center. Nearly 8 to 10 lakh handloom was in the Varanasi and the peripheral districts. 8 to 10 lakhs, not 1,000. Nearly 20 lakh, 2 million people was engaged in the handloom sector, directly and indirectly. But after a wrong decision, या खुश करने के लिए, कुछ लोगों को खुश करने के लिए, no, you start power loom, I will give you the subsidized rate of the electricity. And what is the subsidy? 65 rupees per kilowatt. And in 1 kilowatt, you can run 4 power looms. You can imagine in Varanasi, from 50 power looms up to 2 lakh power loom, up to 2 lakhs. And the handloom industry has removed. The people were sitting, and the sufferers are Dalit community, OBC community, and the few other marginals also. Because in the Varanasi rural area, the maximum the Dalit and OBC, and within the OBC is Rajbhar community. The Mauryas also was involved in the weaving, either weaving or a master weaver. And the traders clearly said, because you all know, the traders are clever. They can sell anything. But they are selling everything in the name of the handloom. This is a complete cheating to the customers. इससे बड़ा धोखा क्या होगा? मशीन से बना रहे हो, पावर लूम से बना रहे हो. और बाद में वो सेकेंड हैंड पावर लूम के बाद में China has started to sending the fake yarns, the machines, and then after that the fake fabric from China to the Varanasi in the name of the silk fabric. वो चाइना को लगा करे हमारा मशीन से हमारा यहाँ से ये तो 100 रुपया मीटर कपड़ा बना के बेच रहा है, तो उसने 75 रुपया मीटर कपड़ा अपने यहाँ मिल से बना के भेज दिया. दूसरा उसने एक और काम किया, उसने एम्ब्रॉयडरी की मशीन को भी चाइना से भेज दिया, जिसको हमारे जैसे लोगों ने कहा चाइनीज ड्रैगन. बनारस में लगभग 2 से 3 लाख लोग जरदोजी और हैंड एम्ब्रॉयडरी का काम करते हैं. बनारस साड़ी के ऊपर में, कुशन पे, वेरियस ड्रेस मटेरियल्स. और उसका ही हमने एग्जांपल दिया था कि रोम के पोप का फैब्रिक बनारस से बनता है। वो चाइनीज एम्ब्रॉयडरी मशीन ने आकर के उनका भी वो हाथ काट दिया। वो हाथ काटने की चीजें दो रूप से फिजिकल रही हैं। ताजमहल बनने के बाद में भी उनके आर्टिजन्स के हाथ को, शिल्पकारों के हाथ को काट दिया गया था, एप्रिसिएट नहीं किया गया, हाथ को काट दिया गया। द आर्टिजन्स हु मेक द ताजमहल, it means if you make the beautiful things, you will not appreciate it, you will punish it. The same thing, you are making the beautiful embroidery, many more things, beautiful, excellent, but I will give you the machine, वो आपका हाथ काट देगी। लाखों महिलाओं का काम खत्म कर दिया गया, जो घर में बैठ के जरदोजी का काम करती है, एम्ब्रॉयडरी का काम करती है। ये पूरे इस ट्रेंड को हम लोगों ने देखा, और still the government is giving the subsidy on the electricity. Definitely they are increasing the price, but now the people is realizing, after getting the GI registration in 2009, Banaras brocade and sarees, again the circle has started for the revival. The revival, and the consumer is now aware. They are asking about, no, we need the handloom. In the 2006, that time, the Prime Minister has made an act, handloom mark. We have also fought for this, for the handloom mark. Because before this, there was no act in the India how you can say that this is handloom or this is powerloom. So at the time of that government in the 2006, we are thankful to the Manmohan Singh ji, who take our request sincerely, make a committee. We met in the parliament with a delegation. We clearly said, sir, kindly, how the people will distinguish what is the handloom and what is the powerloom? In 2006, the handloom mark has come. The government has started the initiative for the promotion of the handloom mark. But in 2019, when the GI has come, for the Banaras brocade and saree, in 9. So this time again the people is demanding, we need the handloom saree, we need the Banaras saree, we need the with the GI tag, and again the requirement of the skilled weaver has increased. And that time when the wages was 80 rupees to the 100 rupees, 120 rupees per day, this time the handloom weavers are charging in Varanasi 600 rupees to the 1,200 rupees per day. It will depend upon the design, how the design is rich. And a number of the traders is every time saying, no, the market is declining, there is no market, the product is not selling. But they are saying wrong. They are making their own business. I said, if the market is down, why you have opened 2 new shops for your children of the sari? If there is no demand, so why you have opened the new shops? And a number of the corporate has also started. I'm also thankful to the Tata, Titan, Tanera, who has taken the initiative and come for the handloom. Now the other players is also coming, but they have started in a very significant manner. Because if the private player will not come, because the government will not fail. The government will not fail. The second, the GI registry has taken the aggressive initiative to accept the application and to solve the application, immediately the hearing, then granting. And within 6-month period, nearly 15 different type of the textile product has granted GI. The one product is also Pashmina from the Basohli, Jammu. Otherwise, the people know about the Pashmina from the Kashmir only. But the Pashmina, Basohli Pashmina has granted GI. Ladakh Pashmina wool has also granted GI. The raw material has also granted GI. They recognized because they every time said कि सर पश्मीना तो हमारे यहाँ से जाता है लेकिन हमको तो कोई रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं किया. हमने कहा जीआई फाइल होगा. जीआई फाइल हुआ, जीआई ग्रांट हुआ. And from the northeast, from the other part, from the other Assam, from the Odisha, a number of the GIs. The 2-3 product has also filed from the Jharkhand. So now we are focusing on the ethnic products, tribal products, even the primitive tribes product also in the handloom. Because when the whole world will see their product, then they will start buying, the promoting. And now I am thankful to the government of India and Honorable Prime Minister, who clearly said, he kindly buy the local products, promote the local products, promote the handmade products, and they are also taking the initiative for the promotion at the global level. So we believe that after the 20 years of this journey, definitely there is a lot of the problems, but much more solutions are also available. A lot of the good persons is in the society, and maybe in the 15 to 20 years, again we can say, Bharat Sone ki Chidiya. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. बहुत धन्यवाद सर आपके keynote address के लिए. We got to know a lot many things that particularly students in a law school or even academia would never get to really understand. And coming from a person like Dr. Rajnikant, it means a lot, because he has put his heart and soul in the development of GI communities in India for the last several years. And it's really an honor that we could have him here today. And I thank you, sir, on behalf of the university and also the University of Liverpool. So as a token of our appreciation, we would like to felicitate both Professor Unnat Pandit and Dr. Rajnikant here with a memento and a small little plant that represents life. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So before we move to the concluding remarks by Professor Dr. Srijita, I would also like to briefly introduce Dr. Srijita. So I think students who have done intellectual property, particularly IPN competition, or even experts who are in the area of IP other than GIs, definitely have read Professor Srijita Subramanian's work. She has been in the academia for last 20 years, roughly, yeah. And before joining Liverpool, she finished her education in India, LLB in India, from Chennai, right? Government Law College, Chennai. And then moved on to finish her PhD and then join. I think she was at a different university when I met you last time. Bristol, and from Bristol now she is at the University of Liverpool. It is a good fortune that I have been in touch with her for quite a number of years now, and it's really an honor that she's also here with us for the panel and also as a co-host of this symposium. She will be moderating the next panel, But until we get started with the next panel, I also wanted to introduce you with our esteemed speakers, starting with Ashish. So Shri Ashish Kanta Singh, from what I understand now, he's from Manipur, and it's that part of India where, as Sir has rightly pointed out, there is so much of hidden mystery, and it seems always mystical that a lot many things that we think we know about the Northeast always comes whenever you hear about Northeast comes as a surprise that there are so many arts and crafts and communities that are completely sort of at the periphery and not seen generally. But I think with the GI Act, and particularly when I was discussing with Ashish about how we should also try and focus on more communities in the Northeast, I think his work has also been phenomenal. He's currently the partner at KNS, and as part of his work, he has extensively worked on GIs, particularly on prosecution and of GI applications in India as far as international GI registrations are concerned. And from what I understand, their law firm also does a lot of pro bono work as far as early opinions on GI facilitation is concerned. And it's really an honor to have you, Ashish, with us, and because I know him through also another dear friend and colleague, Lata Nair. She couldn't join us, and then otherwise with Ashish and Lata, it would have been another round of fantastic session. So Ashish, thank you very much for joining in. And then we have Professor Dr. Lisa P. Lucas. Lisa, as I mentioned, currently is a professor of law at Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, and she's also the director of legal aid at the university. I've known Lisa for some time now, and particularly our work together with the GI registry as part of the consultative process, wherein it is meant to be an adversarial process in the sense that the review act, this is constituted under Rule 33 of the GIs Act. And what we often do is not an adversarial process, but do a kind of hand-holding and with experts like Paul Sir here, who has been in the textile industry for long, and things we don't know about anything about textiles. We try and contribute from the legal side, and there are other experts from other sides. So Lisa works together, and she has a PhD in the area of geographical indications. And she has a lot of interest in publications in this area. Lisa, thank you so much for joining in today. And third speaker is Shri Bijan Bihari Paulsar, who has been with the Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, and he is a former director of the Weavers Services Center of the Ministry of Textiles. He has the number of years he has spent in textiles is more than my age, so I wouldn't dare even introduce Paul Sir here, but he has a very unique background of his since his childhood. I understand he is from the weaving community in West Bengal, sir, or West Bengal, yeah, and that's where his passion for textiles and GIs comes in, and his knowledge about Indian textile industry is phenomenal. I only met him very recently, but from my interactions, I thought that this would be the right opportunity to. I just met him like 2 weeks back, and it just happened that in academia, particularly the legal academia, seems a little more isolated than others in social sciences, because we tend to look at social sciences from a very regimented perspective, and it is often needed that we have that kind of regimentation, but frequent interactions like this opens up our minds also as to the real nature of problems, because this symposium is meant to be on the social legal challenges, and of course finally I would also be joining the panel, but my focus is more to be a kind of a dummy artist, where I can just suggest. I have my own thoughts written a bit on this topic, particularly on the kind of regulatory framework or the missing regulatory framework in GIs, published by the Cambridge University Press. Where we focused on some of the GIs where kind of quality control requirements that are necessary were completely missing, and what to be done about it. So finally, after that, we'll move on to the pro discussion, and these are the little minor introductions before we move to the conclusion of the inaugural session, and also trying to open up the next session by Dr. Sujita Subramanian. Sujita, over to you.
Yeah. Good afternoon. So I'm kind of keeping a close eye on the time, considering that I'm also the moderator for the next session, and we would definitely like to hear as much as we can from our panel of very carefully selected and chosen people. We have not only brought together people working in the government, people working in NGOs, academics, and the best we could do to bring a person who's working not just in the government, but also from the weaving community, Dr. Vijan Paul, of course. So I think this has the potential to make a very good session. What I'm going to do just now and very quickly is to set out the conceptual issues that we need to be looking at, especially considering we're coming from different angles. In order to gain some sort of an understanding of the issue, there needs to be a bit of a structure. So what I'm trying to do here is to set out what we will be doing over the next hour.
Yeah.
So the reason why we got into this topic, myself and Yogesh, is because we were looking at the handloom sector from the perspective of innovations. The question that we were asking at that point in time was that if we are having innovations being introduced into an industry which is traditionally known for cultural knowledge and so on, would that actually affect the cultural aspects and the traditional knowledge aspects of these goods? And to what extent could they potentially be affected? This is where we had our starting point. But as we dug deeper, we found that there were further issues that we need to look at. For instance, from the discussions that we had so far from Professor Anat Pandit as well as from Dr. Rajnikant, one would have noticed a huge set of contrast coming through. On one hand, Anat was talking about the introduction of further number of GIs. He was talking about the GI decade. He was talking about the potential for 1,500 GIs being introduced into India. And the whole potential that is there out there in the market. On the other hand, what we are seeing is a huge number of decline in the handloom weavers. Between 2010 and 2020, we have lost more than 1.3 million weavers. How are we then talking about these large scale introduction of new GIs when we are actually losing the weavers from the ground? So, and the whole one another aspect that was brought in by the handloom census was that the amount that a weaver earns is less than that of an unskilled laborer. So how is it that we're talking about improving, projecting our cultural heritage and so on and so forth, yet we leave the weavers out there with very little to live by? Yes, there is a whole set of middlemen who's making a lot of money. I'm not saying that the consumers are not necessarily paying, but how is it that we're leaving our weavers to their own devices? So it is that that set about this discussion between me and Yogesh initially, wherein we started looking at the GI Act to see what was the issue with the GI Act. What exactly has been the role of the GI Act over the last 20 years in being either exacerbating the problem or creating the problem that we see today? We recognize that there are two key flaws in the GI Act. Our view is that even though we talk a lot about protection of cultural heritage, we do not have the word cultural heritage written in the GI Act anywhere. There's no discussion about the word cultural heritage or traditional knowledge in the GI Act itself. In that sense, it's more or less a replication of the trademark provisions, or rather a focus more on the trademark provisions. We're trying to treat all of these goods merely as economic products, as opposed to cultural products. And that has other consequences. So for instance, we have not even started thinking about issues such as cultural appropriation about these goods. We have not even thought about things like, for instance, could there be any other rights other than economic rights? What about moral rights, for instance, in relation to these goods? These discussions have not even entered into mainstream discussion. On top of that, we have another problem that we identified, and that was a lack of a participatory framework which was integrated within the legislation. What do I mean by that? So here we are looking at a theoretical angle brought in by Einstein in 1969, where he talks about the ladder of participation, where he talks about 8 rungs in a ladder of participation. So we're talking about there needs to be the community participation. Of course, everyone talks about community participation. Everyone is talking about the weaver. But then how do we get them introduced into this whole legal framework? We have the weaver who know what they're doing, obviously, but they don't know what is it that they're doing which actually fits within the GI. Why is their weaving a GI product as opposed to just a product? Why is it like many of the consumers who go out in the market, they want to purchase a particular, maybe a Banaras product and so on. They go there asking specifically to purchase a Banaras sari. They would not know the distinction between a handloom product as well as a powerloom product. So they basically are looking at asking for, yes, I'm in Banaras, I want to purchase a Banaras product. What is the price range? They state their particular price range, and they get a product which they assume is the cultural product that we're talking about as a GI product. But a GI product is different from the cultural product that they're purchasing there. And the weaver himself is trying to work to fill this market. So how does he fill the market? Well, he has to create something very quickly, and he uses whatever mechanism is necessary in order to be able to reach this particular consumer. The question is that we never actually got the weavers or the people at the grassroots level introduced very much into the concept of what a GI itself is. And I go back again to the ladder of public participation. So in this ladder, Einstein talks about in a very broad way how public participation can come about. So you have initially a very sort of framework where we discuss it not necessarily in an intrinsic way. So you have non-participation of participants, wherein participants are given information. There is a GI, you can take benefit from the GI and so on and so forth. Where the participant hears things, cannot actually participate in things. So there's that level of non-participation. They're the 2 rungs wherein they are made to feel that they have been given some benefit with this knowledge that they have been told about a particular act, which is supposed to be favoring them. Then you have degrees of tokenism, wherein you say, okay, fine, we will consult them. You go and ask them things. And the consultation remains at that point. They assume that they're participating because they're talking about something. But how have we actually integrated whatever they have said within our legislations? There is a whole degree of tokenism that is going on. So there's a lot of consultation where you ask people certain things. There's a placation. We tell them, yes, we will take into account what we're saying and so on and so forth. And then finally, you have the higher rungs.
And the higher rung is where we are talking about degrees of citizen power. This is where we talk about delegated power and where we talk about citizen control, where they know what is it that they're doing and how is it that they can actually take benefit from these GIs and so on. It is quite questionable whether we have reached that stage. What it seems that we are doing is we are placing a heavy amount of burden on people like Rajnikant, who are being facilitators, who have been going state across state, trying to connect with the grassroots network. And literally, the burden is placed on individuals as opposed to creating a systemic process which can take into account how the viewers' views can be pulled in order to create legal frameworks that we need that can work in their favor. So it's on these two fundamental flaws that the rest of the problems arise. The lack of public participation, participatory framework, and the fact that cultural heritage is not even recognized within the legislation. So these two issues. And from that stem a variety of other problems, which is what we will hope to discuss today. For instance, the lack of quality control, the issues in relation to a framework which can take into account whether or not this product is actually being produced by the said community and so on. We don't necessarily have clear-cut quality controls. We don't necessarily have frameworks which takes into account a seamless conjunction or collation between the various legislations, such as the GI Act and the Handloom Act and so on. We don't have mechanisms which take into account whether or not innovative techniques, methods can actually harm the product that is being created. We don't have a specific place, a body which can advise the community. So these are the key issues that we will be discussing. We have with us in our panel a good number of people, well introduced by Yogesh, who will look into these questions. What we will do at this point in time is that we will welcome the panel to give an initial discussion, say 5 minutes or so, wherein they can introduce the topic. We can then raise questions. So initially I will raise a couple of questions and then I will open the floor for discussion. What I would really like to see is students actually taking the initiative to push the boundary and ask the questions that need to be asked. Do not feel shy. Feel free to actually challenge what you're hearing. Thank you.
Please. Yeah, please. Just one housekeeping announcement for the panelists. So this is the remote mic. I think we'll have to exchange whenever we talk, because those who are online get to hear from this instrument. So there are people who have joined it on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. So they will be benefited if we keep on exchanging whenever we speak. Okay, so starting with the moderator, you want to start?
Yeah,
yes.
I'll just... Okay, I think what we will do is begin with Lisa. She will set out the conceptual frameworks that we are going to discuss. And following that, we will ask Ashish to contribute. And then Bijan, Paul can come in after that. Yeah? So please go ahead, please. And sorry, just one housekeeping issue. I'll give you about 5 minutes to 7 minutes. Around that point in time, I will wave my little paper to give you an indication that we're coming to the end of time. You can always pick up various other points that you have in the floor discussions, just so as to keep some time control.
Okay, I just understand from the IT department that you don't need to move the mic. You can keep it somewhere in the middle and it works. Fantastic. As long as it works, okay? Because people should not move the mics. Thank you.
Distinguished dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Let me congratulate Dr. Yogesh and Dr. Sujita for jointly organizing this panel discussion on such an important issue. So since I have only 5 to 7 minutes, I will be quickly moving to the topic. So the importance of geographical indication, especially for India and very especially for the handloom sector, is already discussed here. So we know that handloom sector for India is the flag bearer of India's Asian culture, tradition, heritage, and history. India is using handloom sector as for income generation, might be from 5000 BC, before the discovery of cotton itself. So we know that through every handloom designs or the pattern or the motif, what is depicted is India's culture and tradition, and which cannot be reproduced by somebody else in the same way. That means the uniqueness that is attached to the product, that is attached through the human skills, that entitles the product for geographical indication. Because there is a close link in Geographical Indication Act that you can see in the entire theme of geographical indication, the link, the connection between the product and the place. And the distinctive quality you can infuse in Indian Geographical Indication Act, we use the term special characteristics. Of course, there is a legislative lacuna you can find nowhere the act defines what is the special characteristics. So when we read literature about the special characteristics from abroad and also from India, we can understand that the special characteristics can be infused from nature or through human skills. Handloom is such a unique product wherein you can see the contribution of both the nature and the human skills. Because the yarn you use, the fabric that you select, the raw material that you use, that itself is contributed, its special characteristics are contributed by the nature. And the arts and the skills that you used through various designs, through various motifs, that is contributed by human skill. So very rare product will qualify wherein both the human skill as well as nature's gift that you can find in a geographical indication product. Now moving to the importance, again, the importance of handloom to India, you can see that there are 35 lakhs handlooms in India, which gives employment to 3.5 million people. And what attracts me further is that out of this 3.5 million weavers who are working in handloom sector, 72.29% are women. So as far as women employment is concerned, women empowerment is concerned, this is contributing a lot. So when we talk about gender, bringing gender parity and inclusiveness, the contribution given by the handloom sector is very important. Of course, in the later stage, I will be coming to the problems. Thirdly, I find again it is a platform for a national integration. Why I said this, you may agree or you may not agree, because handloom has got a national characteristics. There is not even a single state in India wherein handloom industry is not existing. Among all cultures and among all cults and religion and communities, you can find it. In handloom sectors, you can find we have Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Zoroastrians, Parsis, tribal, and everyone. So that's why I told it has got a national characteristics and it is also contributing to the integration. Now, moving further, what is the advantages of a geographical indication product, a protection for any product? It is a collective property. Only GI you can recognize as a collective and community property. No patents, no copyright, nothing else in the IPR. So handloom sector will suit the best example when it says it connects community, it unites community, and it is empowering the community. And now you can see that a major contribution of GI as form of intellectual property is for the rural empowerment and the rural development. Whether patents contributing to rural development, corporate contributing to rural development, our answer will be like this. It's not that too much. Of course, to national economy, it might be contributing. To the big pharmaceutical companies, it might be contributing. But for the rural development, it is geographical indication which contributes to the rural development. And now you can see that when we talk about now, everywhere we are talking about sustainable development. So through the sustainability and the environmental protection, geographical indication through handloom sector plays a vital role. I will take Pochampally Ikat as an example. When government set up Pochampally Handloom Park, it has given awareness to the people how the quality of the raw material should be maintained. What is the importance of protecting the environment? You should not degrade your environment. So for environment, there is a direct impact on the environmental, the positive impact on the environmental protection through geographical indication, and it is very much seen in the handloom sector. Now, quickly moving to the issues and the challenges, you can see that I identify 4 capitals when I look at the handloom sector. The first capital is cultural capital. I have explained already this. Weavers possess the cultural capital. Moving to the second item, the social capital. Mainly, I look into the networking, the social interactions that the weavers or the traders make so that they can penetrate to the market for the market accessibility. Here I find there is a hierarchy in the handloom sector because weavers are most of the time not directly dealing with the customers. You always find a middleman. You have what you call traders, you have merchants who are actually dominating on the weavers. So the weavers are not actually coming to know at what price each single piece is being sold in the national market or in the international market. So, and then you can see that though I spoke about employment generation, in order to produce a handloom product, for example, a sari, minimum 1 month. And again, depending on the designs and the pattern, it can be 1 month to 2.5 months you need to dedicate. The moment you introduce power loom, it can be 25 to 30 saris per day. But when you are giving this particular piece to a hand, because sometimes a handloom product may cost 1 lakh rupees. Though customers are ready to pay premium price, they are not getting the proper information why they are paying this 1 lakh rupees only because it has a GI tag. So you can see that otherwise, since there is a lack of information is there, but I am just comparing the market technique that others use. You all might be using W's product. It always have a tag with a narration. But unfortunately, in GI mechanism, you are not finding that narrative tags, how many hours, how many labors, how many days are spent behind this. And by paying this, how the division of the money, how much money will be going to the weaver. So once you find this information, of course, you will be happy to give that particular money. But of course, in GI sector, nowhere such a thing is existing. And so that's why you find as far as the social capital is concerned, networking is concerned, weavers are really, really lacking, and there the merchant and traders force. And economic capital in the form of property, in the form of assets, in the form of their ability to buy raw material, as the case may be, of course, you can find that they are lacking everywhere, again, where merchants and the traders will be scoring. And what is their economic capital? They might be having only the loom, but they have. And now moving to the symbolic capital, the last capital. The symbolic capital actually is societal perception society gives to that particular weaver or the trader or that particular merchant. We can see that there is an absence of decency of occupation as far as weaver's position is concerned. When you say, I am IAS, IPS professor or a lawyer, as the case may be, the society looks at you with such a respect. But when you say that you are a weaver, whether are you getting the same respect in the community? So the symbolic capital, there also the poor artisan, the poor weavers are not scoring. So, and because of this lack of social, economic and symbolic capital, you can see that all the marketing strategies the weavers develop, it is not going to be fruitful if they are not marketing it through the middleman. The basic reason that I find why they are the low income generation to this so-called weavers. You will alert me? Yes, I think I have to stop now. Yes. Okay. So as she will be coming to me with the further questions, I have reserved some more points wherein I will be initiating discussions further. So I think from this you may pick it up. Yeah, Ashish.
Can you switch on the microphone? Here, am I audible now? Is it on?
I think, yeah,
Yeah, now
yeah.
it's on.
All right. So first of all, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Umet Pandit, Dr. Yogesh Pai, Sujata, and my co-panelist. So I would also like to talk a little bit about the challenge and the opportunities involving the protection of a geographical indication in relation to a handloom and a handicraft product. Okay, so in my opinion, I think technology has pros and cons in the protection of a GI product, particularly involving a handicraft or a handloom product. So to start with the negative, I would say that the use of technology as a part of the so-called method of production of a particular product, it doesn't go hand in hand with the concept itself, because the traditional skills connotes a product which is usually made by hand with a very limited tools, or I would say in a very unmechanized way. All right. So the use of technology and advanced technology in the so-called method of production may ultimately lead to mass production of a product, which might just pose a threat to the livelihood of artisans, and also will definitely denigrate the quality of the product. So I think it is very, very important to have a cap on how much a particular GI applicant should be producing, the total number of that particular product. Otherwise, they will be flooded with all these mechanized production of the so-called GI product. So that's one challenge I see that. And secondly, also, I really don't know how effectively the technology can replicate or supplement the human skills involved in the making of a handicraft. Okay, so the Dr. Rajnikant was just talking about those motifs and also the patterns, from the Northeast region. These have been actually, those motifs and patterns actually represent the culture, the history, and traditions of each of the communities and tribes coming from each of these regions, okay, which have been handed down from generations to generations. And I don't know, and these are simply a byproduct of the pure artistic skills. Dr. Rajnikant said that there is no graph actually. It's just only operating from the mind. So I don't know whether how technology can effectively replace those artistic skills of those artisans is a big question. Thirdly, I think the challenge with regard to the advancement of technology is the menace of counterfeiting. So you know that I think there have been instances where Dr. Rajnikant also touched upon very elaborately on this topic, that there have been influx of Chinese-made look-alike Banarasi saris, and also the saris which the fabric is made of synthetic. Okay, so if this comes into the picture, then it will have a big issue in tackling the quality. So if it is not tackled at the right stage, it will open a floodgate of all this counterfeiting coming from different parts of India, or maybe from different parts of the world. So taking action at the right stage is very important. We have seen so many GIs which actually started off as a very promising GI but ended up becoming a generic GI. For example, let's talk about the Epsom salt. All of you may have heard about the Epsom salt, where the other name is the magnesium sulfate. It actually started off as a GI, and now it has become a generic connotation. Another example is the Cologne. Cologne actually is a district in Germany. So the Cologne, which is famously known for their fragrances, was once a GI. Now you see any companies like the Park Avenue or any other company uses using Cologne, just to give it a generic, descriptor. That said, technology can really be a boon for the protection of a handloom and handicraft industry if used wisely. Number one, I can say if we use technology for the protection measures for the supply chain integrity of a product, because that would really be a big step, because nowadays we are all talking about the use of blockchain technology in the use of a supply chain integrity for a particular product. So you say that from farm to fork, from leaf to lips, and also we also said from bin to bar. So basically the idea is basically to trace the product right from the manufacturing stage till the stage where it ends with the consumer. So there should be a completely proper supply chain integrity where a blockchain can be of much use. Second advantage, in my opinion, is that technology can also be used to track the counterfeit. So, very interesting example I would give you to you is the Emmental cheese from Switzerland. So, what they do is that they infuse a strain of bacteria, okay, into the cheese wheel of that Emmental cheese, and when a look-alike or a counterfeit cheese has been, put in front of you, they can actually inject that bacteria. And if it is a counterfeit, that bacteria will not react. So thereby you are just, confirming that the product which is being found is a counterfeit product. So technology can do wonder. So I would conclude by saying that, technology is actually a double-edged sword when it comes to the protection of a GI, particularly in the handloom and handicraft industry. As long as the technology does not interfere with the uniqueness of the product, I would encourage the use of technology. If technology is used in such a manner that it destroys the uniqueness of the product, including the quality, then it is a big no in my opinion.
Thank you.
I'm grateful to Dr. Yogesh for inviting me for this symposium, and I had a good talk with Sujita on GI. My respected panelists, Mr. Sinha and Dr. Disha, and their friends. See, I had an advantage being the last, getting all the information from others, but I want to repeat it. Promise I won't repeat those things, but I agree. Somewhere I agree, somewhere I do not agree also. That will be during the panel discussions. But so far as the GI is concerned, there are two aspects. One is cultural, as you say correctly. The second is the heritage. But apart from that, for me as a weaver, it should be a marketing tool. Because at the end of the day, the artisan, the weaver, has sufficient money to live, to continue with the tradition, to continue with the heritage of the culture. You have seen the last 3-4 handloom census. I was a part of those census. The last census also is a part of that. It has decreased from 65 lakhs handloom weavers to 35 lakhs. And 40 lakhs handlooms to 25 lakhs handlooms. Even the 25 lakh handlooms also is concocted. It's not the pure figure, not the correct figure. Why? Because simple one reason. Anybody can just say. Earlier day, we used to call a handloom weaver if he earns his wages for 6 months out of handloom weaving. He has to engage with handloom weaving for 6 months at least. Then he is called a handloom weaver. And now it is only 1 day. If a person is practicing handloom weaving 1 day in a year and 364 days he is doing something else, even then he is a handloom weaver. So I doubt the figure, the 25 lakh handlooms is really the figure or not. And this is simply because, okay, Northeast has got a different ball game. It's different. We cannot compare with the mainland. Because it is a domestic handlooms. It is not the commercial handlooms. This is called backstrap loom or the loin loom or the Bain. I was also a part of that symposium by UNDP in Bangladesh, where all South Asian countries were participating. So we have to leave that Northeast separately because, of course, we should discuss that because they are not really whatever they make it is for their own consumption. It is not coming into any commercial, except Assam and to some extent Manipur. But other 5-6 states are not that way commercially engaged in handloom weaving. Tradition is a big tradition, more than 5,000 years old. That's true. Even till today, we are using 500 count or 600 count yarn by hand. We are spinning by hand. No machine can make. So there are certain areas where no machine can make or they can compare with our handloom products. But the irony is that in the name of Khadi, 90% is not Khadi, it's non-Khadi. whether it's the yarn or the product. Because it has to, because nowadays even government has opened it. Government has opened up to blue room. They've been up to making that big sliver, no, from where the yarn comes in the spinning mill. It is up to the mill sector. It is going up. It is being processed in the mill sector. From there it comes sliver making machines. No, up to that it is in the mills. Then only it comes by the amber charka. Not even box charka what Gandhiji used to spin, or that charka. It is only the NMC where 8 or 10 spindles are working. The yarn looks like a mill yarn. Nowadays, even they have gone further as solar charka. Even the looms are also solar. It is instead of electrical motor, they have a motor which is run by solar power. So these are the things that are happening. Same thing as Shina told, it is very correct. We have to very wisely use the technique. I had a very big fight with all our top councils of India's people. Why we should go for the innovation? If you really look at Benares, not Rajinath is here, what you see in Benares today, it was not 50 years back. Because I am seeing Benares from 1972. So there are so many Jala weaving. And before that, there are so many Getua weaving. So nothing is available now. It is all replaced by Jacquard, and we should welcome that. So long, the design language, the texture, the material, everything remains the same as Banarasi. But the irony is that if you want to have a Kanchipuram sari, 90% Kanchipuram saris are not made in Kanchipuram. This is the reality. I mean, you have to admit that, because I travel a lot. Now I'm working with Tanira. Tanira is a ethnic sari brand of Titan company, the latest brand. I'm a consultant for them for 5-6 years. I contact with the vendors, the manufacturers, and I see these are the things happening. And on the top of it, Handloom Reservation Act, 1985. There are 11 items reserved for handlooms, but who cares? You can get all Kota saris in Banaras, which is GI registered in Kota, Kaithun. So these are the things really happening, which is very much painful, and it has to be addressed. Otherwise, say Pochampalli. Pochampalli now being made more than 50% on power loom. I'm very proud to say that Odisha is the only state. It is still virgin. Of course, of late they have started using polyester in the warp. But their beauty is that they make the finest ikats, which no other state, whether it is a Patola or Kanchipuram, they can't make. That kind of fine sarees they make. And they are still virgin. They are still using those kind of techniques. So there are a lot of problems. Why it is not simply the GI. We cannot address one simply GI and make out all those things. The weavers earning 500, 600 rupees. How many weavers earn? Average earning is less than 200 rupees a day. So who will weave for you? What you will do with the GI? And in fact, GI is not for the weavers. If you see the structure of our sector, handloom sector, 9% is only for the primary societies. It is covered by primary society. 9% out of 35 lakhs, 9% is covered by primary society. 80% by master weavers. And 10% or 12% by the individual weavers who are little rich in there. So the weavers nowhere. Weavers not at all in the picture at all. So we have to really focus on those master weavers or those manufacturers who really control the whole business. We should not run about those weavers, and because they have nothing to do with that. In Bengali, I am Bengali. In Bengali, I am very. It is painful to say. There is a poet called Sukanto. You know, he wrote for a full moon looks like a roti for a beggar. A beggar he does not see as a full moon. He sees, oh, it will be a good roti for me. So that kind of thing has happened now is happening with weavers. They're just living away. They're just going away. They're going with autos, they're going for thelas, the subjis, everything. And there's no social recognition also. As I correctly told, there's no social recognition. Weaver's son is not getting a bride. this thing happening. It's a very really alarming stage. So apart from GI, there are many other issues. Of course, GI is very important that way. But I feel apart from this cultural and heritage, there should be a marketing tool also. And the innovation, of course, it is very, quality is the big issue. Why? Because in Benares, people have started using polyester in a very, very big way. You cannot simply just rely on them. With all kind of certification, all kind of levels, silk mark, handloom mark, there's all kind of levels. But still, it is not the pure. We have in Tata, I made a manual for them. What's to be the quality parameters for the products for each and every cluster? Bhagalpur, Odisha, Patola, everything, everywhere. So we strictly follow that. With that particular interference, now the weavers or the printers, we had been to Ujjain other day, they are telling, sir, it's very strict, but at least we could know what is quality. So that kind of thing only the corporate or the other people, private people can do, not the government. Government with policy, they can make a good policy, but they cannot implement the policy. Animal Reduction Act, they made the policy, but no implementation at all. So my focus will be certainly innovation. If you go for the Jala technique, it takes 3 minutes to 5 minutes to insert one pick. One old man sitting, now you can't get an old man, now you can get a boy, social abuse, all those things will be happening. You have to go for innovation, but maintain the design language, color language, the skill, etc., without compromising that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Yogesh.
Thank you. My thoughts on the GI Act goes back to the history of the textile industry and what happened to handlooms during the British era itself. Some of you who have studied what happened during colonization was how Britain became so protectionist that it passed what is called as the Calico Act in 1700s that practically led to ouster of Indian handlooms in British markets, because Indian handlooms were very well appreciated and prized, and that was like the pinnacle of the Indian handloom industry in India in terms of access to Western markets. But with the Calico Act, Indian handlooms really suffered, and then post that, with the spin jenny, when it was invented, and post power looms, naturally the act was abolished, and the technology itself, started becoming a kind of a great challenge for Indian handlooms. And since then, I think it has always been on a decline rather than on the rise. So one attempt to do it was the Handlooms Act in 1985, but the act has not seen a great amount of implementation. There was a Rajya Sabha question, I think last year, 2020 or 2022, I don't remember the exact year, wherein around 280 odd FIRs were filed. And there's no study currently that provides us with insights into what happened to those FIRs, and in terms of its logical legal conclusions, and how those cases were prosecuted under the Handlooms Act. One recent attempt that has been done in relation to protection of handlooms from other than the GIs, and that's very interesting because Assam, Gamusa received GIs last year in December, and then post the receipt of the GI, the government of Assam really initiated a drive to promote Assam Gamusa, and they went on to issue orders to their traders in Assam, saying that they should not sell anything other than handloom Gamusa. And they started the drive. I think by first they gave them time till March 31st to clear off their old stocks, etc. But then from 1st April 2023, they really said that they are going to tackle. We don't know the real number of FIRs that were registered, in Assam in relation to protection of Gamusa. But what is interesting is why the GI law exists. Why would the government of India, government of Assam want to use the Handlooms Act? It is primarily also because Handlooms Act provisions in relation to offences are clearly outlined in terms of the reserved categories, and Gamosa is one of the Gamosa and Chadars, some Chadars are one of the protected items. But interestingly, it's also a political battle because in Assam, the products of power looms are not produced in Assam. They are coming from Surat and other states, West Bengal also. So in that situation, it is not a political battle for the government to fight between their own set of people, between the power looms and the handlooms. And I think according to the handloom census, Assam is one of the largest weaving. It has the largest weaving community. If I'm not wrong, right? Yeah. Largest weaving community, handloom weaving community.
Yeah.
So naturally, it's not a big political battle to fight. But when it comes to other states, like for example Uttar Pradesh, it could be a big political battle also because both the sectors, what do you call? We can't call them flourish because one is not flourishing. Definitely, the power looms are flourishing. They go side by side, and it's a big political decision to implement the Handlooms Act to prosecute, if they are reserved in the reservations and the handloom reservations. So that's one part of it. But the other thing I also think in terms of the GI law itself, the GI law was enacted not out of any kind of requirement under the TRIPS agreement per se. The TRIPS agreement only required members, WTO members to protect geographical indications. It did not specifically say ask us to enact a GI law, but we did enact one. And in that process, what happened initially was that because a large number of communities were not integrated with the conservation of GIs per se, except Darjeeling tea and some other boards which were constituted for certain products, where there was an interest in protecting it as a certification mark, etc. Rest of the products where the remedies that were available could be a common law remedy of passing off, etc. But that kind of conservation mindset in relation to protecting your collective trade name was not there. And GI Act practically did nothing much to sort of engage the particularly in the handloom sector, the weavers to understand the benefits of the law. And hence you could see that it's a kind of a top-bottom approach rather than a bottom-up approach in the GI law, wherein you will see, and Dr. Rajnikant and others can also urge that in the early part of our GI, it's only very recently that the government has started withdrawing and not being an applicant per se, but on almost every other application, you see that the Department of Textiles of any particular state is the applicant. So, as my colleague Prashant Reddy calls it, it's a nationalization of GIs in India in that sense, primarily because the government is heavily involved. Now, what is its consequence? Its consequence is manifold, including immediately, wherein there is no post-registration, kind of activity, including the requirement to get the authorized users registered. Problem number one.
Yeah.
So there is a disconnect between authorized users and the people who have registered themselves as applicant or proprietors of the GI, right? Because there are, Part A and Part B of under the GIs Act. The second problem is with reference to, okay, even if there are authorized users, we do not know what the specifications that are mentioned in the GI, journals that publish the specification. All of them are complying with those, primarily because the inspection bodies have not yet been established. Now, if you are, see, there is a misconception, I must say, that GI is a collective public right. It's a collective right, but it's a collective private property right. And it has to be viewed in that sense. It is not a collective public right. But since, it is a top-bottom approach, it becomes, rather than a collective private property right from the bottom to the top, it becomes a collective public property rights from the top to the bottom. And that is another problem that I see with the current framework. Yeah. So I will stop here and then we can take a lot of questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone. I think we have set out what the issues are. I'm just going to start by asking a round of questions, just using my moderator privilege. But then after that, the floor is open for anyone else to chip in as well. So I will start off with Lisa. Even though the question is primarily addressed to Lisa, I'm happy for anyone else to pick up after her as well. So Lisa, you were talking about why the marketing strategies are not going to be fruitful as it is at present in terms of, and you frame it in the sense that the cultural capital, social capital, and symbolic capital is not necessarily working in favor of the weavers in the handloom industry. Now, if I were to ask you to compare this situation with, for instance, agricultural products in Europe, for instance, champagne and all of the other agricultural products, where they do seem to have cultural capital, they do seem to have social capital and symbolic capital working very much in their favor. What do you think is lacking at present in India that could potentially be targeted by the governments, NGOs, or other bodies to try and raise these three factors?
So personally, I hold the opinion that the India's current GI ecosystem is uncomparable with the GI ecosystem that the European communities and other foreign communities have. If I take European communities case specifically, that is known as motherland of geographical indication, appellation of origin, and other concept indication of source. This were their centuries old. So the country is very much familiar. And for them, it's very recently, in July 2023, even the idea of handicrafts was introduced. Otherwise, it was primarily for their drinks and for the agricultural products. So there you can see that the hierarchy is not that much prevalent. When you look at the farmers, or the wine producers, as the case may be. In the value chain, they are given the most importance. But here it is the other way around. They are not given any importance, and if at all any importance is given, horizontally or vertically, they are the least people. But primarily their requirements are taken care of, and their wages are fixed first. And it is more, you can say, that organized sector. But in India, especially when you look at the handloom industry, it is totally informal and it is totally unorganized. More than 67%, this is what I read, the data may be differing here and there. So from the literature what I read for this particular section, I could find that more than 67% is totally unorganized. And as I told you, 72% is by women. So here you can see that looking from the working condition, the hygiene and everything is a problem. But that is not at all an issue in the agricultural sector or any other GI sector in European countries or foreign countries, because the quality is a big issue right from the picking up of raw material. And you simply have a GI here, but you look at in the European system, you have classifications of GI. You have designation of protected designations of origin. You have specialties guaranteed. You have. So if you 100% raw material you are collecting from single source, it has a different name. If raw material 75% raw material coming from different sources, then you have a different indicator. So that quality system cannot be compared with the system. Quality system is not at all here in India. But if at all there is any internal mechanism, any GI holders have developed in India, that cannot be compared in that way. They also have inspection bodies. So they always have the deterrence. If we go away from the quality requirements, and for each and every product, they have separate regulation. We have only a GI piece, GI Act piece. But you look at their product. Forget about GI products and specially guaranteed products or aromatic drinks, as the case may be. Even for the mountain products. Even for the mountain products also, which is not coming even nearly close to GI, they have special regulations. And the regulations have to be kept properly. So anytime their inspection bodies can come, they have internal monitoring and inspection mechanism. Along with that, they have external monitoring mechanism, wherein inspection bodies will be inspecting random at any time. And you are not complying with their regulations that are given, then there will be action. And again, I can tell you about when I look at the enforcement aspect, because I told the deterrence, no? Enforcement aspect, look at Indian GI case. You don't have a proper GI enforcement case, infringement case in India. What cases we have roughly also? Scotch whiskey case. The foreign companies where it was sued. So the implementation, the enforcement everywhere, actually we are lacking. So it's a high time wherein we have to awake every stakeholders in this particular value chain and supply chain. Do you want to add?
Yeah, so I think it's bang on, Lisa. So I think Lisa elaborately discussed about the quality aspect. And being a practitioner, I would say that it's a high time that we should amend the GI Act to incorporate the requirement of a quality control. The GI Act as it stands today, you will not find any mention of the quality control mechanism. There is no provision pertaining to quality control in the GI Act as it stands today. So time and again, it's been acting as a stumbling block for every stakeholder to derive the benefit out of a GI registration. Okay, so in the absence of any quality control mechanism, you may be registering GI today. We also have said that 75% of the registered GI today in India are of handicraft product, right? So in the absence of any quality control mechanism, all this certificate will only become a mere paper tiger. We really need to have a very quick we need to act quickly. We really need to have a robust quality control requirement under the GI Act. It can be like Lisa also said that there should be inspection body. We have seen very often in all the GIs coming from Europe, they have a robust quality control mechanism. They also have, the supply chain integrity. You can trace the product from the grower to the ultimate consumers, etc. here. And in case of any, violation, like I would just give the example of say Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. All the producers of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, which is a very famous cheese coming from Italy, they have those stencils, the marking to indicate that this is a cheese of some grade and this is from this origin, etc. So this can be traced. Okay, so if a producer actually put the wrong stencils, so their license to use that marking can be cancelled. So there are various severe sanctions provisions available in their code of conduct, or the so-called the regulations. They have a specific code for the method of production. Even the fodder which has been given to the goat, which gives milk to make the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, that fodder has to be very meticulously chosen from a particular area. It cannot be added with some sort of admixtures or something. So you see how meticulously Europe gives a lot of importance to the quality. So I think this is the high time that we should look into the GI Act and incorporate the mandatorily required a much needed break, which is the incorporation of the quality control mechanism. Particularly when it comes to the handloom and handicraft industry, let's not forget, we are dealing with the human skills, and human skills can vary. So right from weaving, right from say dyeing or say manufacturing, stitching, a skill from one person to another will vary. So that's when you really need the intervention of a quality control at a different stage. All right. So also Lisa also just talks about the European Council has recently voted about the enactment of the non-agricultural GI. Okay, so once it is implemented, it will open the floodgate for many of our handicraft products to be protected and registered in the European Union. So in that light, we really need to have that quality control system to effectively protect and enforce our rights in the Europe, because Europe is one jurisdiction, as Lisa also said, where they lay a lot of emphasis on the quality. So in the absence of any quality in our product, then we may, even if you do a lot of promotion may work for a few years. But if the quality does not define the very uniqueness of the product, then I don't know how, no matter how you involve the celebrity endorsement, etc., will really help. So the quality control, I would emphasize that it's the key, and we must incorporate this in the act.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. I'm going to now raise my question to you, Ashish.
Okay.
You were talking about technology.
Yes.
And I think your main focus was on technology that can support artistic creations. And you said, how is it that it can actually impact on that? My question to you would be, what would happen if I as a weaver, approach you, a practitioner, and say to you that because of, say,
other external factors, such as, say, climate change. I have had to adopt new production techniques, which differ from what has been written in the product specifications. They were not chosen by me. They were not necessarily for even efficiency purposes, but these were external factors, such as, for instance, I mean, I'm thinking of, like in the case of Udupi saris, where they use natural starch as part of the production process. And because of climate change, the starch gets dry very fast, so they have to use other chemical products and so on. What would you advise me as a practitioner in relation to being able to protect these goods as a GI good in these cases?
Yeah. So I think we are dealing with the inevitable, the climate change, and we are already facing this real of climate change, even in the case of Muga from Assam. So if you see the extraction of the silk cocoon and from trading, etc., there are reports which reveal that that also has been affecting the very the what do you call it, the trading process of Muga. So as I also said earlier, I think I'm not completely averse to the use of technology, but I said that technology should be used wisely as long as it does not substantially alter the very uniqueness of the product. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, that product will cease to become a GI if technology completely replicates the entire process and also the quality of the product. So that's something which we all have to agree. And as also here, I would like to add something that, it is very, very important to have a commonly defined specification of its product, even before registering it, which is currently lacking in India. So, I mean, that's the reason why some of these stakeholders, be it the producers or, farmers or anyone, they may not be even aware of what they're going into when it comes to the registration of a GI. So as long as we have a defined characteristics and a defined unique specifications, at least as long as the majority of them are being complied with, I think that is something which we can be dealt with. But if you're just talking about a completely different scenario where because of the climate change, that product which used to be very, very unique ceased to become that unique product, then I don't think that will qualify to become a GI. But my point was that technology should be used, but sparingly, not to alter the uniqueness of the product.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So I did find it interesting that you said as long as a majority of the specifications are complied with, which kind of keeps things a bit more broad and loose, perhaps. Okay, I will go now to Bijan for. Bijan, I mean, considering the fact that Yogesh had talked about this top-down approach that we are currently employing, and the fact that Ashish was talking about a commonly defined specifications, which most people don't seem to know about even among the community. What do you think is the best way in order that you can get an effective participation from the community such that they're aware of what it is that's going in these specification documents?
Yeah, as I told you earlier, the handlooms, it is totally disorganized. And people are working under somebody. I mean, the weavers are working with the master weavers. And master weavers are not the traders, in fact. There's a misconception about the master weavers. Master weavers are those who were weavers some time back. Now they've grown up and now they are the weavers. They know the weaving, but they have grown up their business. They are engaging more weavers to get their production, to get their products. So he is a master weaver. A trader is simply the aggregator kind of thing. We should have a really good talk before initiating any GI dialogue with them, how it is going to be benefited, what gain they will get out of that, the GI. And of course, it has to be preserved, all those things are there. But they will be immediately asking what benefit I will get, monetary benefit, certainly, because it all leads to, their economy. It has to be there. It has to be there. Because when I was working with UNIDO for the Kathun cluster, those days I was in Jaipur, we used to have a continuous meeting with the weavers, particularly women weavers. There's a women weavers society also there. So they were really participating. They are so much, even now also that is working. I mean, it was long back, 20 18 years back it was. It's still working. So that way the participation is very essential from the weavers or the master weavers. And the quality, as Shina told. In fact, when I was in the ministry, I made one scheme called India Handloom Brand. There, each and every cluster specification have been made. And this specification have been made not only as just simply, I want this, so I have made like that. It's not that. There is already a specification under BIS. ISI also has got the specification for handloom products. I'm also a member of the committee. So we took all those things, whichever is now really going in the market and being produced, which has been done in the Indian Handloom brand and which is now also under BIS. All those three parameters taken together, we made a manual of the specifications for the products. So Dhania Khali may not be only one sari, there may be 10 different kind of saris. 80s yarn, 60s yarn, hundreds of yarn. But the common thing should be, it should be azo-free dye. You know, we are talking about the size. Azo-free dye is very important. I believe very few clusters they use azo-free dyes. They do not know what is azo-free dyes. So this is very important. Those raw materials, silk sarees are sold either, I mean, all synthetic yarn, polyester yarn are being used in a big way, though they are GI. But you can see there are so many products which are they are using polyester yarn. Though under GI does not written it is a silk yarn. So we have to categorically reach in every cluster. We have to 8 or 10 different standards, not only one. One will not do that will limit their growth. So then the sizes you cannot limit to the sizes. If you want to export it, America has different sizes, Japan has different sizes for the same product. No? So sizes is to keep open. If the domestic market has different sizes, but at least material we can have standard. Of course, skill and the process is already there in the GI. So my view is that the material is very important. It should be natural. Natural dyes is not possible nowadays, but to some extent, wherever it is possible, they can do. But natural fiber has to be there. Nowadays, Northeast, all synthetic wool, that is acrylic, it is taken over. You go to Manipur, you go to Assam, you go to Nagaland, anywhere. All those pachras and the rihas or Bakmand, everything is now being made on synthetic wool. They call it synthetic wool. There is acrylic. So there we have to be very strict enough. We should not go for that. If there is the case, then we should really license us to catch in that case. Or that, you know, it has to be very strong that we cannot simply do like that. So the puristic thing, otherwise, you know, there are other countries who are already making it. Our strength, our oneness or the tradition, heritage, culture is lost in that case. We are known for the natural fiber, no? And there are so many. It is not that it is not there, it is there. But we are simply, as he told rightly, in the name of handloom, they are selling powerlooms. They're getting the benefit of the handlooms, but they're selling powerlooms. So I feel that there should be a quality parameter strictly adhered to. And of course, technology has to be there. Otherwise, you cannot say nowadays for the designing. You have to frequently change the design. Otherwise, powerloom will kill you. Banaras is surviving only because of design. Their texture is not that good, but simply they change the design very fast. But changing the design very fast manually is a very, very cumbersome process. You keep the same motif, same design, but you can make it in electric jacquard. There you do not require go for the punching by hand, making the graph, etc. But you have to make in a computer. You have to make the graph in a computer, but not on a piece of paper. Skill is required, but your tool is different. Earlier, there was a Jala. Jala, there was no graph. They used to make it a small frame. They, by their memory, they can do these things. Now they have been shifted to graph. And graph, you have to go to the computerized designing. Punching is done by the computerized. There you don't require any skill. No, punching the whole system doesn't require much skill. That will be mechanized. So such kind of mechanism has to be there. But when you go about the loom construction, the geometry, there you should not really take a chance. Because if you change the loom geometry or the loom construction, in the whole setup of the loom or the texture or the get-up of the sari or its look or feel will be totally changed. That we should not do.
Shrita, can we open it up to the floor?
Yeah, I will open it up to the floor. So the questions can come from the floor. I mean, is there anyone who would like to add to what the panelists have mentioned so far, or challenge what the panelists have mentioned so far, or maybe seek clarification? Go on.
So my question is about, like, you talked about quality control. I'm thinking about, are there any concern about the quality of the GI tests which are approved by the GI registry? My issue is about the Indian GI becoming a case of too much IP.
Too much?
Too much?
Too much of IP. Intellectual property.
Okay.
Are there any such concerns, like the scholarships of people around?
Okay. Who wants to take this question?
So the moment you think about geographical indication, it is a form of intellectual property. That is the very first thing. Otherwise, where will you place it if the property is? So GA is an intellectual property, but of course it is very distinct and separate when you can compare it with other forms of intellectual property. And as far as the text that you have submitted to GA registry, which you have you're referring, if I can call it as specification, that is the heart and soul of a GA. The moment you deviate from the specification, it is something other than what you have described. So you have to stick to that specification. So the experience that me and Dr. Yogesh, everyone that we share in the consultative meeting also, we always look at the specification. That gives the distinct case to claim that your product is a GA. So here, I think it was Dr. Sujita, when she spoke, she asked, why this product is a GA? Why this product is distinct as a GI from any other product? So there is some quality that you described in the text that it has to be maintained like that. The moment you deviate it from, its GI is declared, its GI is going in. So you have to see that that is being ensured. But now you can see that there is a gap between what is described and what is woven or what is being practiced. And it's very sad thing to say that most of the time, the real producers, the growers or the artisans, the farmers case maybe, they don't have much idea as to what is described because it is done by some facilitators, done by certain universities as the case may be. So I also had an experience wherein the poor person is not knowing whether GI or some kind of IPR. So the lack of awareness in India, especially that we have, you are a holder, you might be an authorized user, but still you are confused with the nature of the rights, the scope of the rights, the potentialities of the rights. So these are actually very painful, but we have to collectively work together.
Yeah. Can I just add one thing? I think while emphasizing a lot on quality, I think one must also not forget that GI is also about public perception. Unlike trademark, which can be created overnight by way of a celebrity endorsement and everything, it takes years and years of efforts for a product to become a GI. All right. So we also have to prove that a particular section of the public or the trade are already aware of the fame and reputation of a particular product to be originated from that region. So it's not only about quality, but also the public perception of the product. Because Justice Larry in the Choco Swiss case has said that you may replicate a product, you may even make a better product out of that, but you cannot call that a Swiss chocolate. That chocolate may be even better than the Swiss chocolate, but you may be able to replicate it. The basmati has been grown here. The US, by way of control in the controlled environment, you can grow even a better quality basmati rice. But you cannot call it as a basmati rice because to the public mind, basmati is always associated with the rice grown in India or in the adjacent part of Pakistan, right? So I think I would also like to add that public perception is also equally important.
Though it is 20 years, but I feel the consumers or the end, the persons who will be using those things, GI level product, they are not aware of all those things.
Yeah.
So that is lacking. Why should I purchase the GI tag? What the specialty of that? That is missing. That is very important. And there, this quality parameter has to be mentioned there. The code part.
even the senior most government officer, the senior IS, they don't know about the what is the GI tag, what is the importance of GI tag, why I should buy it. They don't know. The policymaker, they don't know.
And
In
of course,
fact,
sorry.
if I may add, Indian government's policy in relation to geographical indications, although is 20 years old or 22 years old, but we have done quite the opposite to destroy and the conservative aspects of what a GI is. For example, the government of India really pushed for expansion of basmati rice, cultivation of basmati rice. It has done it in many other cases also. So basically, you yourself are not very sure, at least prior to the GI Act, we were ourselves not very sure as to whether basmati has to be associated with the traditional Tarai region or should it be expanded. And the government of India decided that we should prepare new hybrids and expand it. So the Pusa basmati, was grown across several states.
I would preserve my comment on that, but since the matter is sub judice, I'm the person who is handling that basmati litigation before the Supreme Court. But that's a debate for another day, I would say.
So, but thank you. I think one question from a PhD scholar we have. Sumita, you want to ask a question, you said?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, can you just...
am I audible, sir?
You're not audible, Sumita.
Oh.
You're not audible, unfortunately. If you have a question, can you type?
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, now you're audible, yes.
Yes. So good evening to all the dignitaries. Currently, I'm studying the challenges in implementation of GI Act in respect of Paithani sarees. So I've taken the case study of Paithani sarees. And the deeper I go into the study, I encountered a lot of lapses, procedural lapses on part of GI registry in granting the GI. So just to briefly note few of the lapses, there were two applications. GI to Paithani is given to two places. One is Paithan, which is in Aurangabad district in Maharashtra, and one is given to Yevla, which is in Nashik district in Maharashtra. So my one question is regarding whether one GI can be given to two products coming from two different districts. And second is role of GI registry in monitoring widest participation of producers in grant of GI Act. So if any of the dignitaries could focus on that.
Maharashtra तो 6 district है सर, बनारसी सारी के लिए.
Actually,
can you hear Sumita?
Yes, sir.
Actually, the geographical area, it is not required to only for the Aurangabad. You can make the much bigger geographical region also. The pattern is also famous for the pattern, and the Evla is also famous for the pattern. So the weaving technique is same, the product is same, the design motif pattern is same, the weavers are same, and because in the Banaras, the 5 districts are covering the Banaras brocade and sari. In the Bhadoi carpet, 9 districts are covering for the Bhadoi carpet, handmade carpet of Bhadoi. In Mirzapur Dari also, 9 districts are covering. So, but one GI could not grant for the two. It can be, the name is the same, the Paithani sari.
The region can be, the region can be.
The whole region, the geographical region, but like in the Uttarakhand, the Bhutia Gan or the Sulma for the whole Uttarakhand, for the Madhua, for the whole Uttarakhand, if the state is small. In the many cases, like in the Arunachal Pradesh Dao, we have taken the whole Arunachal Pradesh. The people are making different type of the Dao. They can make the variety of Dao, but the name is Arunachal Pradesh Dao. So it can be.
And even different states can share. For example, Basmati 7 states.
In the case of the Fulkari, Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab, the Fulkari is for the 3 states. Okay?
Yes, but sir, if traditionally the products coming from these two places were different, can we amalgamate two products? So if we go into historical evidences.
This is another thing.
We're talking about same. In case of Paithani, are you saying that Yevla and
Paithani sari, we are talking about it. Paithani sari, Paithani fabric, we are talking about this.
Yes, sir, Paithani sari or fabric. It so happened that the product coming from Yevla was earlier called as Yevli or semi-Paithani, and it was never called as Paithani. So these were two different products using two different techniques.
No,
So,
if the term is different, the product is different, the local name is different. So when the GI has published, why then people have not come to
There is a process for opposition.
again, lack of information, sir, and lack of public
But if the
participation.
product is different in the Evla or in the Aurangabad, so they can find a separate GI for the different product, but not for the pattern study.
So that's what happened. Two separate applications were filed, application number 150 and 153. And it so happened that these two applications were amalgamated in the process of granting GI.
Sometime the 4 applicant will be there, 5 applicant will be there, but at the time of the hearing, so they have is a compromise actually. And they can say, kindly grant the product. Maybe one person can be applicant, one
But
person.
here what she is referring to is that the historical origin of Evla was called as Evla sari or not called
Yevli,
as.
sir. Yes,
Yes.
in Marathi.
Why the people have not actually raised the objection? Are the expert why have not?
Absolutely.
And if I may be allowed to add to this, actually this process to analyze and examine the scope of the application is really cumbersome in the registry, wherein you will look into the historical aspect. It is very mandatory requirement that you have to produce the historical aspect. Usually in 5 to 10 historical documents are being produced. Only after analyzing the historical aspect and the linkage, the registry will take a decision whether a particular GA should be added or there should be any changes. Even the registry recommend for changes in the application also, even in the very naming process also, in order to look at the commercialization and the marketing. So these aspects are widely discussed, deliberated, and then only the registry takes a decision.
Yeah, I just simply add one more. They have done really right thing because the Yola has started late. It was originated in Pathan, then it has gone to Yola, and both the places have the same technique, same material, same technique, same design. So there is no point of giving two different GI. And what is this semi? Semi is not the hand oven. There is pour oven, cut work coming from Bangalore.
Yeah.
That is not a Patani at all.
Okay, so thank you very much. We have to quickly conclude. With this, we thank our esteemed panelists for a wonderful session and thank the moderator for conducting it so well. Our honor and appreciation, we would like to hand over some token mementos to all the speakers.
467.
Yes.
53.
Please, starting with the moderator. Ashish. Kriti.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh. Thank you.
And to Sariza. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it was a great session indeed. Nishta had to do the vote of thanks, but I will briefly conclude because I think we are in between the IT and the conclusion of a long seminar. But thank you one and all for joining me today, and particularly those who have come to the campus, and then those who have listened from other places on the YouTube channel. I particularly would like to thank Padmashri Dr. Rajnikant for being here and for guiding the inaugural part of our session, and then of course in terms of his comments during the question and answer session. Thank you very much, sir, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you all the panelists and audience. Please join us for high tea. And I thank my team and Henry Delhi staff members for conducting this wonderfully. Thank you so much.